Welcome to our Pakt Anywhere Travel Duffel 50 freaking liter review. This duffel is a part of Pakt's new Anywhere collection. You got 4 parts to the collection, one of which includes a 25 liter duffel, and the 25 and the 50 are actually pretty similar, but they're also quite different at the same time. So we're gonna talk about the 50 liter. Is it too massive? Is it too complicated? Is the backpack mode awesome or meh? And most importantly of all, is it the duffel for you? Well, in this review, I'm gonna dissect this duffel like my name is Dexter, and we'll find out just the answer to all those questions. Okay, let's talk about the gist of the Pakt Anywhere 50 liter duffel. In fact, it's a duffel that can be carried in many ways. You can do hand mode, shoulder mode numero uno, shoulder mode numero dos, and backpack mode. Pakt does a lot of duffels. Duffels are kind of their thing. And they say, you know, that old school train of thought where duffels are super simple and you just throw things inside, there's not really any pockets. They kind of said, F that. And this duffel is a reflection of that. We got lots of pockets on the outside and a very interesting, dare say complex, system of organization and dividers on the inside. There's a lot going on with this thing. And don't worry, I know it might seem a little confusing at first, but I'll clarify exactly how this main compartment is divided and how it works a little bit further in the review. The materials are like a coarse nylon, a little scratchy, but super durable and definitely water resistant. When it comes to the style, I think the black looks a little blobby, and I think that the green version just has a nicer aesthetic to it. As for the comfort, it'll kind of vary depending on what you like. If you're the kind of person who likes a backpack and duffel with like really super soft and comfortable sort of padding, this is probably not gonna be the pack for you. There's a little bit of padding on the handle, and there is a padded shoulder strap, but similar to the backpack straps, which we'll talk about a bit later in the review, it's really stiff. And finally, the biggest thing with the gist of this thing is just how big it is. 50 liters is huge. Like for reference, I'm 5'8". It's like half the size of me. So because of this size, it's a really great option for like family outings or longer road trips, right? Think about like car travel. This is a great way to keep you and the fam and the friends organized while you are traveling via vehicle to another place. But since it's so big and duffels aren't really quite as comfortable as like traveling with luggage or traveling with a backpack, I'm not sure if I could really recommend this for like airline travel. All right. First up, we'll talk about the outside of the Pakt Anywhere 50 liter travel duffel. Let's start with the 2 front pockets. These pockets are quite large. They're accessible with YKK zips, really smooth zipping experience. I like the zipper pulls too. You got a little extra grip there for just an easier opening and closing experience. Pocket number 1, pretty basic, no additional internal organization. I do love the color though. This light gray helps to give what could be a dark pocket somewhat of a highlight effect to make it easier to find your gear. But the other pocket, me likey, has a bit more organization. Namely, we have a keyring holder, pen slot, and a little zipper mesh pocket right here. This is a great pocket, methinks, for something like your wallet. Put it in here, it's safe, secure, you know exactly where it is. Now on these 2 sides, there's nothing to really talk about, so let's switch over to the back side, which is the part that actually converts into a backpack. Now, let's put to the test, how well does transitioning from duffel mode into backpack mode work? Let's start the timer and go. What was that, Tab? Around 30 seconds?
Literally.
On the dot. Overall, there's some things I really like about the backpack experience and some things that are average. First up, let's talk about the actual shoulder straps. Like I said with the shoulder strap that's on the duffel shoulder strap, these backpack shoulder straps, really dense. Tab, feel that. That's dense, right?
That's denser than my sister.
Yeah, so it's dense. Which I think for a 50 liter duffel slash backpack, you know, of this size and how much stuff you're gonna be putting in it, you know, it's something to take into consideration. It might not be the most comfortable experience, but if you're into super like hard, dense, secure type shoulder straps, then this will be right up your alley. Moving down, we have a sternum strap, which is removable and adjustable. So let's say you wanna move it from this angle, you just go ahead and slide it down to the next spot, slide it in, and that is a very seamless sternum strap transition experience. The hardware itself, pretty basic. Who are you made by? Oh, it's Duraflex, okay. Duraflex makes great hardware. I would have liked to have seen a little webbing holder, AKA a dangle stopper on the sternum strap, but you can't win them all. But if you don't want the sternum strap, taking the whole thing off, piece of cake, go ahead and slide it off, and that's actually quite seamless to do. Now, moving down, the nylon webbing for the shoulder straps, there's no dangle stoppers. These might be flopping around a little bit, something that kind of irks me. But let's move down to something that's quite interesting, and that's these good old carabiners right here. These carabiners come provided with the bag, and we've tested a fair amount of duffels that go from backpack mode into duffel mode and vice versa, and they all connect the backpack straps, the backpack shoulder straps to the bottom of the duffel in different ways, but I've never seen one with a carabiner before. And this thing is like a real legit carabiner. It's heavy, it feels like it's quality, and it has this little screw thing which helps lock the strap into place. I think that on the con side, a carabiner like this, it's just difficult to sort of get into backpack mode. You saw it took about like 30 seconds. But what you're losing in speed, you are compensating for in terms of security, because this thing is pretty badass. And I like that Pakt did this. It is a little heavy, it does add a bit of extra weight, but it gives a really satisfying user experience. And then let's talk about the back panel. We've got a decent amount of padding on this back panel, so it's comfortable in that way. Yeah, pretty well padded. But there ain't no ventilation, right? So imagine, it's a hot summer day. You're on a road trip in, I don't know, where are you gonna be? Utah. Let's use Utah as an example. And you and the family wanna go from the car to the picnic spot, which is like a half-mile hike that way. You don't wanna carry it on a hike in duffel mode. Hell no, so you put it in backpack mode. But then it's that hot Utah summer sun, right? And this thing is just getting plastered to your back, and you just want a little bit of like ventilation, right? You just want some sweet breeze to give your backs, and you're not gonna get that. So when you're wearing a backpack that's this size, it's something to keep into consideration. As long as you're not in super hot environments, you should be fine, but it's something to take into consideration. But let's say you're not in backpack mode, you wanna carry it in duffel mode. Let's talk about these guys. Really a big fan of these handles. I do wish that they were a little bit more padded. We got this little buckle clip thing which keeps them nice and tidy, but also it's just the overall height, right? Because it gives you, I don't know, it's like an easier carry, but also it gives the option to do one of these. And for me personally, I like carrying my duffel in this mode. And if you don't like to carry it in this mode, you'll be smitten to know that you can carry it in the most classic duffel position of all, over the shoulder. I love how Pakt uses like a diagonal system. You can see this one's on this side and this one's on that side. And it just creates a more balanced carrying experience when you're in shoulder duffel mode. Again, the shoulder strap, a little dense for my taste. I would just like a little bit more of a comfortable padding experience, but it gets the job done. And it also should be noted, we love what Pakt has done at the attachment points right here. Really great sewing, really great stitching. It's a super strong sort of structure. So this whole system's going to last the test of time. And we actually like what they've done with the buckle here. This guy's pretty unique as well. A little bit of a bitch to get off sometimes. Yep, you're a bitch. That's mostly because you got this little hook right there inside the G-hook. But ultimately, this little spinny feature right here helps stop the strap from getting tangled. And while it's a bitch to take off, putting it on, super simple. And then the last point for the outside of this duffel is you got these little hidden slits right there. And you're like, Aaron, show me what's in those. And I'm like, it's external lash points for external carry. So let's say you got a blanket or a yoga mat for the family picnic in Utah that I alluded to earlier. It's not gonna fit inside, so you roll it up, strap it to the top, use these guys, hold it into place, yoga mat, secure. And the way they hide away is super nice, super neat. Honestly, you'll forget that they're even there until you need them. And that's the sign of a great feature on a duffel or a backpack. Ultimately, I really like this feature. And ultimately, if you are really liking this review, I'd just really appreciate if you could hit the like button. Let's get inside the Pakt Anywhere Travel Duffel 50 liter. So the main compartment has 1, 2, 3 zippers that give access to 3 sub-compartments. The main middle section is accessible with these chunky zips. I don't know if they're YKK or not, but they are lockable. See right there, little extra security. And then the 2 side compartments are accessed through smaller zippers that are not lockable. Let me show you how this works. All right, let's start with this compartment right here, which is the closest compartment to the back panel when you go into backpack mode. And we'll call this compartment the basic compartment because it's pretty basic. There's no additional organization in this compartment. There's no access to any of the mesh pockets. This is just a great throw-all. This is where I'm throwing my clothes, a couple tech pouches. If you use packing cubes, they should fit very nicely in this section. And it should be noted too, it only has like a quarter opening, so that's all you're getting into with this section. Now you might see these little hooks and be like, but Aaron, what are those? patience. Next up, let's get into the middle section. Like I said, chunky, lockable zippers. And this guy is clamshell style, which means it opens up all the way. Ah, that's very satisfying. So as you can see from the main compartment, on this side, we get access to the basic compartment we just talked about. And on this side, we get access to the mesh compartment, which we'll discuss in just a sec. On the basic compartment side, you've got this big section. Just a big old pocket, great for longer, thinner items. Think a book, tablet, or your laptop. But here's my thing.
Missed the zip.
Oops. When we reviewed the Pakt One Duffel, we were blown away by their laptop compartment. Similar setup, right in the middle, but it was just better. It was well padded, had a nice structure to it, and seemed like it was well thought out. This one, on the other hand, seems a little less well thought out. It's flimsy. Now granted, I'm sure your laptop's still gonna be safe. Because think about it, when this thing's packed out, you're gonna have all your clothes over here and a whole bunch of other stuff over here, laptop right in the middle. It's a little suspended, so it's not gonna be slamming on the ground, so it should be fine. But just in comparison to the Pakt One Duffel, I think that this laptop holder is sort of lacking. Now, let's move over to the mesh side. 2 pockets, pretty basic. Mesh pockets, obviously, it's the mesh side. I like all the zipper pull tabs too on all the internal section. You got a nice little stitch there, which helps provide a little extra grip. Really smooth zippers. But let's say you're saying, dude, you know what? There's a lot of division going on. I don't believe in walls, I believe in building bridges. So you wanna be like, Gorbachev, tear down this wall. So, let's tear down some walls. Unzip both sides of both dividers. And then roll them up as one. Remember those little hooks we talked about earlier? Hook number 1, clip it in. There's a little guy on the other side. Same thing here. And boom, we have torn down the wall and we have just a big ass duffel now. Something to note, if you're like, oh, maybe I want to keep one divider up and take the other one down, I've got bad news for you. You can't do it. You have to tear both walls down to be able to roll them up, to be able to attach this hook from one side to the other to secure the dividers. So it's kind of a all or nothing type situation. Let's talk about the final compartment. And not really a lot to say here. Basically the mesh pockets that were accessible for the main compartment are now, you have mirrored mesh pockets on the inside of the mesh compartment as well. Actually, let's put it back up so we could show the people the entire experience, shall we? So as opposed to the basic compartment, this one is also clamshell style opening. You have the mesh divider here, but no mesh pockets here, okay? So the mesh pockets in the main compartment, but then on the other side, you have 1, 2 big old mesh pockets here as well. Let's talk about some pros and some cons. Pro number 1, it's a minimalist design while also having a decent amount of customization options. Pro number 2 is you can go from duffel mode to backpack mode and vice versa. And pro number 3, Tab and I, we just really like the little hidden external lash points on the top. Just a really nice touch. But let's do some cons. Con number 1, I wish that there was a little ventilation on the back panel when you are wearing it in backpack mode. Con number 2, we are seeing some loose stitching around the pack. A little bit here, a little bit there. And con number 3 is while the customization options are nice to have, for some people, this thing might just be a little bit too over-engineered, especially when it comes to that main compartment. So you are still here, which means one of 2 things. Number 1, you wanna get this thing, or number 2, you're just not quite sold and you need alternative recommendations. I got you for both. If you're in category number 1 and you're ready to totally get one of these, then we do ask that you make your purchase using the first link in the description. That link makes sure that you get the best price, and it also helps to support our Nomads Nation YouTube channel. Thank you so much. But not sold? That's cool, I get it. Let me give you some alternative recommendations. Let's say you think that this guy's just a bit too big, you need a smaller duffel? Check out our review of the Pakt One Duffel. It's similar to this guy in a lot of ways, but also, in my opinion, better. Smaller, but better. To watch our full review of the Pakt One Duffel, take a look at the description and you'll find a link to our full review. Alternative recommendation number 2 is the Peak Design 65 liter duffel. This is the duffel for you if you're like, dude, I need me a big duffel, but I just kind of want something that's a little bit simpler. I don't need all the main compartment dividers and all that stuff. which the Peak design is. If that sounds like something you're interested in, take a look down there, description, link, full review. And finally, my third alternative recommendation is the Monarch Cetra Duffel. This is the duffel for you if you're looking for a duffel that can convert into a backpack, but you want the backpack mode to be just as awesome as the duffel mode. This is a good backpack conversion, but it's not the most comfortable. You're missing a back panel, you're missing ventilation. The Monarch Cetra Duffel is a really great backpack wear and a really great duffel carry wear thing. You get what I'm saying. We did a full review on the Monarch Cetra Duffel, which you can find this very moment in time in the description below. If you found this review to be useful, that's awesome. That means the world to us. That's why we do this. So all we ask is just let us know by hitting the like button. That communicates to us that we're doing a good job, and so we can keep making more kick-ass duffel, backpack, sling, whatever reviews. And also, I want to hear from you though. Like, do you have this duffel? Is it bigger than you thought it would be? Do you actually use the dividers, or you just kind of use it as a duffel? Is it too complicated? Do you get used to the user experience? I just want to hear your thoughts on like what it's like to actually travel with this thing. So please let me know in the comments below. Thanks so much, guys. My name is Aaron. This is Nomads Nation, and we'll see you next time. And then the two side compartments are used with smaller zipples. Now let's move over to the mesh side. Mesh side.